Hey everyone, it's finally time for another Zenkaiger news breakdown here on Sotopop. Alright, as always, I'm your host of Frozen Stratos, and today, yes, of course, we do have our brand new Yudo and Minipla news coming out of the Sentai blog. We also have some Kamen Rider stuff coming out of the Kamen Rider Candy Toy blog, but before that, we actually have a tiny little update coming out of the Super Minipla news, because it's not actually called Super Minipla anymore. Let's take a look at this. So we got from a magazine scan earlier that, hey, Gao King, it's in the prototype phase, and it looks pretty darn accurate. It's also not at all called Super Minipla anymore. I believe it's called Shokugan Modeling Series, a Shokugan Modeling Project now. I'm not entirely sure what that entails. Historically, when Candy Toy decides to rename something, or at least when Bandai decides to rename something, to take, for example, Sochak Henshin into SH Figuarts, they keep some variation of the original name, like Shokugan Modeling Series instead of Super Minipla. Things change. Things change between those two series, so I do wonder if we are going to see a substantial change here, or, as Malunis had theorized on the Sotopop podcast episode, that potentially they just want to distance themselves from the name Minipla because it's associated with a cheaper brand, but I don't know. It's all up in the air. I do hope that we see some sort of improvements coming down the pipeline. We know that Shoto Super is going to remain the same, so it's really just the Shokugan modeling series or project or whatever they want to call it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. Maybe they could introduce more series. I know they've been doing Super Robots in this style. I know they've been doing, you know, the Sentai Mechs in this style. So I want to see if they eventually branch out into something else with this moniker. Anyway, that's basically it. The only real big takeaway from this image, however, is that, hey, there's a swappable head for Gao King for his roaring mouth pose. So that's gonna be cool once you guys get that in hand. Anyway, that's it for these guys. Let's hop into the Rider news, which I promise it'll be short, then we can get into the Yudo stuff. So, yeah, without further ado, it's time for Saikou! He's not a psychopath. This is Kamen Rider Saikou, and he's looking, well, just fully stickered up, but you know, what do you expect here? Also, it's obviously going to come with its shadow version, because, I mean, how would you release a sword on its own? This thing looks great, and it's kind of like that Kamen Rider Build Hazard situation where, like, you easily could have just made this whole thing black, but I will say the silver details are kind of integral to this thing, so, you know, I'm glad they're there. Also, we do get the compound eye effect here, which has been present in most riders within Saber, so that's really cool to see. Anyway, it looks great. I'm loving it. They also wanted to point out the belt piece because they don't typically get to do empty belts like this, so they went ahead and put in as much detail as they possibly could here. So I appreciate that. Outside of that, this is the side view of the sword, and they really wanted to emphasize, like, oh yeah, this looks great because, you know, traditionally it has a guard in front of it to make it look like, you know, it's being held, or I guess, I don't know, it obscures the actual mounting point is the main point here, and it looks pretty good. Like, it makes sure that, you know, every pose you get it in, any character who's wielding it, looks good doing so, and it makes the sword look good just on its own as well. Anyway, that's really all we can get out of the shadow form and the sword itself. Let's dive into X-Swordsman, because we also got that reveal today as well, or, you know, this week. So, right off the bat, yeah, a ton of it is going to be done in sticker detail, but, like, come on. it's supposed to be, you know, reminiscent of a comic, a paper, you know, it's not going to be done well in paint anyway, and having a printed look with actual printed details, that makes 100% more sense than if they went with paint. Oh man, I really stuck that landing with that sentence. So yeah, this looks pretty good. I really like the color contrast here. I appreciate all the stickers in this instance. Also, he has the mounting point that the rest of the riders do, where it's, you know, mounted on the back and then the skirts lift up from that. So it's not going to be a situation with the new... It's not Brave Dragon, it's the new Silver Dragon looking form, and having the separate hinges there on its own. It's just going to be that mounting point back there. I do wonder if, you know, they're doing that just so that they have these parts for when they want to bring a, you know, to give this power up to Toma and see if he uses it. I think there's a Hyper Battle DVD form that uses something like this, so we'll see why they decide to go with this in the future. Anyway, that is it for his details. Let's take a look at the, I guess, armor, because we were sort of speculating on how this would eventually end up working, because it is, you know, for all intents and purposes, an armor swapping gimmick, and that's sort of what Shodo has been known for, at least up until recently, just because Saber is, you know, so different, the gimmick is so different. Without, okay, yeah, obviously they're just gonna put the armor on top of Saikou, or at least, you know, it was speculated that there would be armor placed onto the shadow form, but instead it's a completely different mold, as Shodo does, and that means there's no need for a base body or anything. You just get the amount of bodies that you absolutely need for this. And also, they decided to bulk up those areas to make it look as if parts had connected to the figure itself. So that's really cool. I appreciate that attention to detail. Anyway, that's not all that's different with this guy, because he actually comes with a different version of the sword. The book is opened up into a different page. I think this is like a final attack or a finisher or something. So I appreciate the differences that they decided to go through here. As always, Shodo is trying to give us more new things, and I don't know, I just get so much appreciation from these guys. It's so cool. Anyway, I believe that's it, but that's not it for Book 6, because all that is coming in Book 6. But we come back to the gift that keeps on giving, the Shodo Heisei part set, or I forget what they called it. It's like 4 Heisei. But they aren't done telling us what's in here. I think this is the last sort of surprise they have for us. I'm not 100% sure, but it turns out that during our initial coverage of Kamen Rider Decade, he was wielding this, the card-holding hand that we saw before, but it didn't have a sticker on it. Turns out that, hey, the sticker is going to be a D-End card, or Final Attack Ride D-End card. I believe... Oh, boy. I'm sorry, this is slightly spoilers for the Geo vs. Decade Geo movie, but I don't know, this is confusing to me. I don't know why this was hidden, because we already sort of knew that this was happening. But, yeah, this is what these two look like, so we are getting these as the stickers. It's not yet known if we're getting any more than this, or any, you know... so we'll see when the time comes. Either way, this is all that's coming in Book 6 so far. I really hope that accessory set has a little more for us. It doesn't seem like they have any more to reveal, but, you know, it didn't seem like that the last few times either. So hopefully we have more of this later on, but as it stands now, this is what we got. We have 3 more boxes to potentially, you know, get information on. It's probably going to be one figure, and I'm gunning for an accessory set. I'm really hoping for an accessory set here, just so we can finish out, like, Saikou has the different versions of the X formation, like the the X-Swordsman formation, where all the parts go onto either his arm or his leg, and I feel like that would just fit in an accessory set, as well as potentially giving us the Three Little Pigs armor that they did not give us yet. They said that they were bringing those to us. We just don't know how that's going to be coming to us yet. And if they are making an accessory set, I feel like that's a pretty good place. It's also a pretty good place to fit the extra heads, but who knows if they got approval for that yet. Anyway, I believe that is it for Book 6. Now, we can move on to, oh, no, not me, to Yudo! Or at least Candy Toy for Sentai, because we don't just have Yudo today, we have Minipla. And this is the sort of first set that we're going to be getting. This is the box for it. Everything that's coming in the first set is, you know, as you see here. So you're absolutely going to need all of these parts. There aren't like, you know, there isn't a box of extra parts you don't need, obviously. So this is everything that you're going to be getting with that first set. And hey, they look... Ooh, wow! Ooh, these are rough. Very rough. Oh boy, okay. But we'll see sort of why later. Either way, these do end up looking a lot better in their alt modes, the T-Rex mode and the Lion mode. You still get the problem of the head sticking out, but, you know, that's just how the show works anyway. And then, you know, the Lion looks pretty good. I'll give it to them on the Lion. The Lion looks... It looks accurate. I don't know, that a lower jaw. Anyway, I don't want to keep harping on this guy, but combined, they do look pretty fantastic, and that's really what you're looking for here is the mecha, and they nailed it. They nail it every time, especially since you can always turn it into the super articulated version. You can just, you know, move panels around, reseat certain joints, and you've got a fully articulated version of this Zord, and I feel like that is where Minipla shines, and it looks really awesome. I appreciate this. But yeah, this is not all for Minipla though, because they actually showed off a little bit of Majin and Vroon combined together. This looks really good. I will say the two tones of pink on here are jarringly different, but that might just be because these are pre-production images, so the pinks will probably be a bit more, you know, coherent once we get this, you know, as actual production pictures and all that stuff. So far, just make sure to, you know, disregard, I guess, the discoloration. We'll see if that changes later on. But we also saw their stand-up forms, and I gotta say, Vroon is a lot better than the rest of these. Pink is... Wow! Pink is something else. Whew. But, hey, you know, this is not what these are for. These are mainly for the big mecha versions. They also have pretty decent animal modes and vehicle modes as well, so I can't fully fault them. And then they also gave us a little teaser of them swapping out different parts, and it looks pretty good. This is what they're meant for. And if you want just regular figures of the Sentai... of the rest of the mecha team, then, well, Yudo has you covered. So this is basically everything that's going to be coming out in Yudo. Do keep in mind that this isn't a full product review that they're giving us, because usually they do a full-on breakdown. This is just a taste. This is just a preview. So what we're getting in this set, we already knew this layout. We're getting... Zenkaiger and Majin in one box, one accessory set, and then the rest of the team, they're going to be separated into 2 boxes each. What was speculated on earlier, and what I honestly thought was going to be happening, was like they would be split half and half into each box, because like why would they need to make a, you know, an armor swapping system? But they did. They made an armor swapping system for this, and I gotta commend them for that. This looks really fun. the thing I'm hoping for out of this is that obviously this show is not going to give us, mecha for each and every Sentai. So it would be cool if we are able to somehow merge together, swap around a few pieces, and make our own versions. But as it stands, this is how it's all going to be laid out. The proportions look a little bit weird without the armor, but all put together. Let's actually just check that out. First up, we have Zenkaiger. Now, we thought that this was going to look a lot like the Change Hero series or Change series version, and it does. Admittedly, it does. Here it is. We will do a full-on comparison later, but as it stands, they look rather similar, and hey, just base level, if you wanted a fully painted or at least a more painted version, this is definitely a serviceable option, but there are differences in the Yudo version that I feel like edges it out. So yeah, anyway, we will discuss the differences between these two in a bit, but before that, let's take a look at Majin. Majin looks really good. Unlike her Change series figure, she actually has the full tail. Also, the hands, obviously, they are swappable, so I really like that. There is a lot more articulation added to these. I really like the look of this figure. Also, here is Juran. He's looking good. I don't want to make full-on comparisons with the Change Hero series anymore, because those transform, these don't. These are like completely different figures. So the only thing I will mention is that, hey, this guy comes with a shield, and the Change series figure has not been shown with a shield yet. It's yet unknown if it has them, so we'll see. Anyway, let's move on to Gawon. Gawon's looking great, and this is where we get to see our very first look at the hand, and man, that looks really, really good. There's a lot of intricate details in that hand, and I'm really happy that I'm going to be getting my hands on this. So this will be very exciting for me. Also, minimal sticker detail. Gotta say, it doesn't seem like too much here. I could be wrong though, but let's move on into Vroon, and he looks so good. I'm so happy for this guy. I cannot wait, and if I get my hands on an extra one, I will turn it into a Bendy Prime. I swear to you I will. This is really fun. I really like the look of this guy. Also, we get another look at that splayed open hand, and ooh, I'm loving it. Anyway, like I had promised before, let's do a little bit of a comparison. Oh, wait, this is a whole team shot. Forgot that this this was here. They look pretty good together, and they all scale relatively the same, so it's all 12 centimeters tall-ish. Yeah, anyway, like I said, we're going to be doing a comparison of Zenkaiger. That is, again, not this image. I'm sorry, this is a little out of order. My brain is a little scattered, but I did want to mention that, hey, you are able to sort of collect these beside, like, next to Minipla. Just because, you know, they aren't going to give you those full figure versions of these characters. And you can, you know, they display together pretty well. And, you know, it's making it so that you don't have to, you know, get just one line. You have to get multiple lines, you know. That's just how it's going to have to happen. Anyway, I think that's it. Let's dive into the comparison. Yes, okay, it is comparison time. So, for the remainder of this comparison, the Change series figure will be on the right, and the Yudo figure will be on the left. Just want to get that out there. And, you know, the biggest difference here, paint. Yes, I get it. There's tons and tons of paint on the Change series figure, while the Yudo figure has mostly sticker. But I will say it's not all unwarranted here. And we don't just get, you know, all stickers here. There is paint on this figure. So let's take a look at what differences these two have. The head, specifically, like this seems to be fully stickered on the Yudo figure, but for the eyes, and something that even Soto touts, is that you do get the compound eye effect in the eyes, rather than, you know, the Change series figure that does not have that. Unfortunately, you know, you can't really paint that in at a good budget. Also, you have the 45 picked out on the chest. or not the chest, the crest, whereas on the Change series figure it is all done in silver. The stripe, however, it is done in red, but it is that foil sticker red, as opposed to the just flatter, I guess, you know, just shinier glossy red that a paint app would give you. But there are silver details on the mouthpiece that I feel like make a big difference for the Yudo figure. Anyway, next up, let's take a look at the changer. Now, this is a thing across the board, but all 5 of the Yudo figures do come with this gun, but the Change series figures, Zenkaiger is the only one that gets the gun. So if that matters to you, then maybe pick up the Yudo one just to, you know, have those and give them to other people. But another thing, you know, the stickers, they give you this detail. They give you this detail here, and also if you take a look at another side of the Change series figure, it turns out that there is an entire gap just in that space, instead of actually having details there. So, you know, hopefully with the Yudo figure, you're getting more of a fuller experience. It's yet to be seen, because a lot of the time we do get those empty areas in our weapons, so I'm wondering how that all shakes out for this weapon. We don't get too many other shots of this. So yeah, anyway, that's it for this thing. Let's take a look at the cape, because we can actually see that the Yudo figure is painted red on the inside of the cape, whereas the Change series figure is not. We also get to see that the cape gets to move up and out for action poses on the Yudo figure as compared to the Change series figure. Now, we just have not seen that the Change series figure can move its cape. We don't yet know if the Change series figure can move its cape. It definitely, you know, could be the case that they just did not show that feature. But I do know that they are different, because if you take a look at the edge of the cape, it looks like the Yudo one is splaying outward and up, whereas the Change series figure is more inward. It's more at a resting pose, whereas the Yudo cape is more of an action-oriented pose there. So that is something major that I had noticed. Like, I have a feeling that whether or not, you know, they both move or not, the Yudo one at least is going to have a different cape. And also, just in general, the gold on the cuffs and stuff, those all get done in sticker, which, you know, that's not too great, but at least they have the gold trim there. The Change series figure is missing a lot of them, and the ones that they do include, it's only on half of the hand, or half, like, it's only on the front side of the figure rather than, you know, both the front and the back. So that's rather unfortunate for that detail. You're also missing out on a lot of the bicep color that Yudo is able to do. But hey, if that doesn't too much matter to you, that's fine. Another mold difference that I did want to point out is with the leg. The Yudo figure manages to, I guess, sort of disguise or hide the area of the knee joint with sort of knee pad area, whereas the standard Change series figure, that one just has, you know, they're not trying to hide the joint the way that Yudo is. This was the Change series figure is made, you know, structurally more as a toy, and that's so weird to say, but it's you know, Yudo is the one that's going in for those like nitpicky details. Also, one last thing that I did want to mention, the antenna, it seems the materials are actually going to be different, because the or at least, you know, from what I can tell, because the V-fin on the Change Series figure, that one is thinner, and it's probably going to have to be done in PVC rather than ABS, but it looks like the Yudo figure is going to be done in ABS just because you have all that negative space behind the V-fin. Anyway, I do believe that's it for my comparison. I don't have this in hand yet. Hopefully, I'll eventually be able to get both of these just to do an actual full-on comparison, because I would like to note the differences. And it does seem like the figure, the Change Series figure, it could potentially be made out of a gummy or plastic, just by way of how that looks and how the white looks on this figure. Anyway, that is actually it for me today. So let me know in the comments down below. Are you excited for Yudo? Are you going to be getting Yudo or getting the Change Series figure? Do note there is a large price discrepancy between the Yudo figure and the Change Series figure, so do keep that in mind. But if you care more about the transformation and more about paint, then hey, that is for you. But if you want a little bit more of a project, something you can put your time and effort into and still get something fun out of, the Yudo is for you. And it's cheaper. It's much cheaper. Anyway, hey, if you like Zenkaiger or are excited for Zenkaiger as much as I am, well, why not consider picking up some merch? I have a link to some merch that I designed in the description down below. I made these, and hey, if you purchase one of them, some of that revenue comes to me, and it helps support the channel. Anyway, while you're down there in the description, there are links to how you can help support the Black Lives Matter movement by donating money, signing petitions, and watching videos. Thank you so much for watching. Keep it